Well, January, here we go again. So The Grudge tells the story of a collection of people being haunted and tormented by a spirit that has latched itself onto a house. Well, here we are, guys. First movie of 2020, first review of 2020. Here we go again. January horror films. Fun, ain't it? The Grudge. I am somebody that this is actually the first Grudge movie that I've ever seen. I had no interest in watching the other ones. The Grudge, the American one that came out with Sarah Michelle Gellar that was mildly popular. I remember a lot of people seeming to like it. Came out around the same time as The Ring. The Ring didn't really do a whole lot for me. So I just wasn't really interested in the whole let's take a Japanese horror film and make it American little craze that was going on in that time. So I've never seen any of the Grudge films, so I cannot comment on if this rips off any of the other movies or if it's too derivative of the other movies. I can only tell you about my singular experience with this 2020 version of The Grudge, which is both a reboot and a sequel from what I gather. It takes place at the exact same time as the first American film in 2004. So wasting no time, let me go ahead and get into the positives of The Grudge, and the main one that I walked away with is that William Sadler is fucking awesome. This is a guy that, shame on me, I never think about when I think about what are some really good actors, what are some great character actors, what are some of my favorite actors. I never think of William Sadler, but every single time this dude shows up in a movie, I love the fact that he's there. He's got so many iconic side characters. Hopefully we're gonna see another awesome return to death later on in Bill and Ted Faces the Music later on this year, but he has a small role in this movie, and to me, he gives the best performance by a landslide in the entire film. It's small, it's not necessarily the most significant piece of the movie, but it's memorable and he is damn good in it. If you're a gorehound like me, this movie is decently bloody. It's on the lighter side of R, but from what I gather, this is the first Grudge movie that has gone for an R rating and has gone for blood and gore in the aftermath of these kills and everything. So if you were wanting your Grudge movies to be a little bloodier, you may enjoy this one more than the others. And while I haven't seen the other films, so I probably can't completely appreciate this, I do like the fact that this movie has a certain lore to it where they can do a reboot, they can go off on their own timeline and do a new series of movies or just a standalone movie without negating the timeline of the movies that came before it. And we're in a time where you get this craze nowadays where let's delete all the movies and go back to this movie, or let's deem all of those irrelevant, those are trash movies, but we're gonna make the good one. It's nice to see a horror franchise especially that embraces what came before. And that's all I gotta say positive. As far as negative, this movie is a gigantic mess as far as storytelling goes. Now again, can't compare it to the other movies. I know at least one or two of them have this same kind of story framing device, but this movie has about 3 or 4 different storylines that are all kind of going on at the same time, where you have the main story framing device of this detective who is investigating this body that's been found that's tied to this house. She enters the house, starts to get tormented, and because she's being tormented, she starts to investigate what all else has happened at this house. And when she's looking into something, like opens a case file and you see John Cho's picture, then we focus on John Cho for about 5 to 7 minutes. Then we go back to the main storyline. Then we focus on something that happened in 2005 for about 10 minutes. Then we go back to the main storyline. Then we check in on John Cho and his wife for about 5 minutes. Then we go into this other family that we didn't know about. And it's to the point where the movie has absolutely no flow, has absolutely no pacing, and you have zero attachment to any of the characters because you bounce around so much you can't invest yourself in their story or their survival. And that is the kiss of death in a horror movie. The story feels like there's not a whole lot of forward momentum, it's just a lot of bouncing around. Even characters that you do like or actors that you do like John Cho was for me in this movie, to where I'm like, oh, I like this guy, he's a good dramatic actor, let's see what he can do in a horror film, and he's gone. See you in half an hour, John. And even the story and the pacing within these individual stories just don't really have any momentum because there's not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason to when we bounce back to these different stories. Like sometimes it just jumps to John Cho and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're back in 2004 now. And then you get towards the end of the film and it's almost like the film was like, oh shit, we're running out of time. All right, kill everybody. Show how everybody died, now. Beyond the storytelling, everybody acting-wise does pretty serviceable in this. I don't think anybody stands out like William Sadler stood out to me, but the main actress in this, what's her name? I need to check her name. Andrea Riseborough. She is playing the main focus the main detective or cop that is investigating this house in present time, or at least the most late time frame that we get within present time of this movie. She might be one of the most dull and boring and uninteresting leads in a horror film that I've seen in a very long time. And I don't necessarily know if that's the actress's fault or just what they gave her to do, but the entire movie, her character was just monotone to me, just flatlined. Not a whole lot of emotion, and it even to the point where something else I'm going to get a little bit further into with another negative, she makes a lot of decisions that just frustrate me, so I don't even really like her character a whole lot. So as a lead, as a framing device for your story, very weak, possibly the weakest of the 3 or 4 storylines that we get in this film. The scares, typical bullshit January horror film stuff. Telegraphed jump scares, you see them coming a mile away, it's loud noises, it's something going out of the fucking shadows. That anybody who's ever seen any horror movie can see any of these scares coming. There's nothing that genuinely creeped me out, there's nothing that genuinely got under my skin, and there's no jump scare that was like a good little fake out jump scare where I wasn't seeing it. Had nothing as far as the tension goes in a horror film to offer. And I hope this movie saved a lot of money on lights, because there damn sure wasn't a whole lot of them in this film. You want to talk about dark, not tone-wise, just visibly dark. There is so many times in this movie where you're supposed to see something scary, or you're supposed to see one of the spirits, or one of the, the tormenting apparitions, whatever you want to call them, the Grudge chick, and you can barely see anything that's going on because it's all so darkly lit. Even scenes when humans are doing things that's supposed to be disturbing or creepy is so darkly lit to where you're like, what the am I supposed to be scared right now, or are you waiting to reveal it? And the scene's over. I have no idea what the fuck happened. And they even use darkness to kind of redesign the look of these ghosts to a degree. So this is supposed to be within the same continuity as the previous Grudge films. And though I haven't seen them, I know what the Grudge chick looks like. I know that she's got the long hair, she's got the big eyes, the big open mouth. I know what she looks like. But in this, they kind of changed the look of even her to where she's just so dark and like a brownish red hue that's all over her, and it's kind of distorted the iconic look of that ghost to the point where I'm like, if you're gonna make this flow with the other films, why would you change something that's clearly an iconic look for this franchise? Because it's not as effective as the previous look. It's almost like they wanted to abandon the Japanese kind of style that the other films kind of held on to a bit, especially regarding the design of these ghosts, that they wanted to make it so Americanized that they kind of stripped the character off of it. And finally, like I already alluded to earlier, yes, this is a horror film, and yes, there's gonna be people in the comment section, even for a shitty movie like this, that are gonna try to defend this and say, you don't know what you would do in a horrifying situation. You can't say that people are making bad decisions. You can't say that this doesn't make sense. You can't criticize what characters are doing in the situation. Bullshit. There is some stupid ass things that these characters do in this film, and I cannot stand when a movie leans into that to make their scenes work. To me, it's lazy writing. You can make effective horror films that have scary sequences and have human beings in the movie act perfectly natural as human beings within a horrifying situation like this. You have the main character that does a lot of stupid shit that doesn't make any sense, especially in the third act. You even have John Cho. Like, this isn't a spoiler. This is like one of the scenes that is supposed to be gripping in the John Cho storyline. So he finally sees like a scary image in his little timeline, right? So he runs away, he's trying to get out the house, and he comes face to face with the Grudge chick, and she's like, nah! And he goes, ah! And he runs 2 feet away and closes a little shutter door closet and stands there and goes, so he's clearly trying, like, thinks that he's hiding, right? He thinks that, I guess that was a human, and he thinks that this is like a safety area for him. He even like cracks the door open at one point, and he's looking, he's like, and he sees the ghost apparition kind of walk away like they're looking for him, and he's like, whew. There's a visible sigh of relief on John Cho. Then his fucking cell phone rings, audibly. And he picks the cell phone up slowly and flips it open to see who is calling him and lets it continue to ring. If you're trying to hide, motherfucker, turn the ringer off, or press the button, or answer the phone and call for help. Do something. These are the types of scenes that you get in this movie, and that is lazy ass bullshit that I do not accept as a piece of horror. I'm sorry, that is just lazy, shitty writing. You can do better. We've seen better. do not accept this. So nonetheless, guys, welcome to 2020. We are back in the January movie season. The Grudge does not break that curse whatsoever. See what I did there? This is a boring, forgettable, nothing type of horror film that they dump into January so that we can get it and get a couple of bucks and get it out of our memory as quickly as possible. This is the type of movie that horror fans know is gonna suck, but they go see it anyway with a little glimmer of hope, and they walk out saying, I knew this was gonna suck, and then we don't think about it again until December when we look back on the year that was and say, oh yeah, The Grudge came out this year. That's going in my bottom 10. Like I said, I can't say if you're a fan of this franchise, if this movie's gonna have anything to offer you. I can't say if it steps on the legacy whatsoever, or if all of these movies are movies that I would probably say similar things to and it's just not my type of film whatsoever. But as a standalone experience, The Grudge 2020, not good. Not good at all. So if you're looking for a great horror experience to kick off the new year with, just stay home and watch something like Ready or Not, or The Perfection, or another movie that's just not The Grudge. This is not worth your time, it's not worth your money, and it's not worth talking about past whatever length of time I'm talking about it in this review. Skip this bitch. So what do you guys think of The Grudge? Are you a fan of this franchise? Have you seen this? Is this as good, better, or worse than the previous films? Are you new to this franchise like me? Did this get you into it and make you want to go check out the other films? Or were you as underwhelmed as me and just went, nah, not for me, moving on. What do you got, February? Come on. Let me know all of your thoughts on The Grudge down below in the comment section, guys, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber. If you guys want to check out some social media links, click the video description below and you'll find the links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my Patreon page. Patreon page is a great way to give back to this channel, help this channel grow, and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron. So check that out, and right below that is my Teespring store that houses all of my merchandise designs created by my buddy Woody Bowen. Please check that out down below. A lot of cool stuff that you guys will enjoy, and another great way to support this channel. And if you guys just want to check out some more of my videos, easy thing, you can just check those out by clicking right over here.